Hello, and welcome to Todd Klindt's podcast number 299, recorded live July 25th, 2016. I'm your host, Shane Young, coming to you from the freakishly hot Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right, folks. You're going to listen to me whine a lot. It's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. And while I realize a lot of you probably live in places that's much hotter than here, I'm a whiner, and I have the mic, so you're listening to me complain about that. Today, if you're looking for Mr. Klindt had to travel for work this week, so he's no longer using his house. He moved, his house is broken, he can't do it excuse. This week he's using he's in Virginia or something excuse. So that's where Todd is. If you're looking for production notes, Todd has been moving, so there wasn't a show last week. I don't think he's gotten the previous show from that out yet still. He always takes a long time to get out shows that I do, so it could be 3 or 4 months before you see this, so I apologize. But he is working on it, so at some point Lori will kick his butt and make it happen. Also, don't forget that today's show, as always, is sponsored by Rackspace, and that is, you can check them out at sharepoint.rackspace.com or the www.rackspace.com/Microsoft. Right, that's Todd's employer, keeps him always fun and busy. So my wife works there. It's a good time, so it's a good place. Check it out if you get a chance. All right, so that gets us through productions and sponsors. So topics. Well, today I had a whole list of things, but as usual, I get sidetracked and was getting ready to do the show today. And in order to do it right, we do it via Google Hangouts because that then broadcasts it through YouTube and then makes the recordings available, right? It's a whole process. But in order to do that, I always have to log in as Todd. He has a special account for that we use. And so today when I logged into it, the dreaded Google verify your account popped up, which is never a big deal, right? If it's actually your account. But it's like, hey, we want to text you a code. I'm like, whoa, that's not cool because Todd is indisposed right now and Todd can't get the code and give it to me. So I kind of started to freak out for a few minutes. Was not cool. And then I started looking through the reset options, right? And just like with everything with security, in the beginning, it was only a text message to your phone, real tight, real secure, not messing around. Then they started adding things, right? So they said, oh, well, we can call you now, or we can email you a reset link or a verification link. Well, today, for the first time ever, I saw the final option was, what is your alternate contact email address? I'm like, seriously? And so all I had to do was type in Todd's alternate contact email address, right? So I had his username and password, put it in, got to the screen, and it's like, hey, and it puts up like the first 2 letters and then a bunch of stars, then add a couple letters and then a bunch of stars. Like, yeah, todd.klindt@rackspace.com. Got it, right? It was not difficult at all. So I feel like they, right, security, we got super locked down. Nobody could do anything. And that was too hard, caused too many phone calls. So they relax it. And now, the verification thing is a email address that any old person with about 10% of a brain could figure out. So anyway, thought that was interesting seeing them with a security snafu. Next thing you know, one of the national conventions will be having all Todd's emails dumped in there because somebody hacked it out. Always those type of evil things going on. So what do you do? All right, as the first one, number next, I think you probably all, by the time this makes it out, you all know for sure. But it looks like Verizon's going to buy Yahoo for $4.8 billion. I remember not too long ago when companies used to get bought for millions of dollars, but now we're rocking the billions, right? We got, LinkedIn being bought, Yahoo being bought. I mean, you name it, somebody's getting bought, but it's for billions. There's no longer these little deals, I feel like I want to go back and sell SharePoint 911 again. I didn't sell it for $1 billion. I apparently sold it too soon. I should have held out longer. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to give me $1 billion for it, but, it was worth a shot. But one of the things that I found really interesting about, the whole reason I wanted to bring it up, was I read a different article. It was talking about it's always been that Google had the most internet users, right? They had like 240 million internet users or active users or something goofy like that. And so with the Yahoo now buying with Verizon now buying Yahoo and plus their purchase of AOL last year, which who the hell knew AOL was worth anything, right? Old CDs. They actually, between their two sites numbers, it's like 360 million users. Now there is some overlap, so when the final numbers come out, who knows where they'll fall? But it's kind of scary to think that you know, AOL plus Yahoo equals more than Google or Facebook, and they'll have the most registered users of any internet company. That makes me kind of scared. I was weirded out that AOL had so many users. It turns out like AOL owned things like Huffington Post and some other goofy sites like that, and so that was actually where the bulk came from. Though every now and then I still run into people who have an @AOL.com email address. I really struggle to take those people seriously. I'm like, you're not very good at computers, are you? That's what an AOL address says. So maybe I'm wrong. Any of you got an AOL address? Feel free to send me some hate mail from your AOL address and tell me how AOL users are legit. No, your dial-up modem probably won't let you email me though. So, all right. Anyway. Also, I thought it might be worth noting real quick, August 2nd. So once again, this will probably still be out, or probably won't be out before then, but August 2nd, the Windows 10 anniversary update will be available. So that's pretty exciting. If you're like me, if you ever browse the internet on anything other than a Windows 10 machine, you get those pop-ups from Microsoft sites saying, hey, get Windows 10, get Windows 10. Right? They're really pushing the old Windows 10. And I don't know, I'm actually kind of looking forward to this update. That's about to come out August 2nd. Not that I'm expecting a lot of change or a lot of fun things from it, but Windows 10 for me, especially my Surface Pro 4, still a little sketchy every now and then. The phone's gotten a lot more stable, but I'm hoping they kind of get some of that stuff snuck in there and fixed as well. I think other things I've seen is like they're going to make Cortana a little smarter across multiple devices. They're going to make some changes to the ink stuff. So if you're, a writer or artist and Adobe person and all that type of stuff, a little more work there. And then I think the last thing I saw was some more security updates. One of them I thought made a lot of sense is like with Windows Hello, if you walk by your computer and the camera sees you, it'll unlock your computer whether you meant it or not. So like little updates where you have to, press the screen and then look at it, to tell it that, yes, I want you to, stare into my eyes. All pretty like that. There you go. Now you can unlock my computer with my eyes, all of that. But it should be interesting. And the chat room was very scared. So those of you only listen to audio, you didn't have to get an up close and personal look at my face. But those of you watching video, I apologize for that moment. All right. The last little piece here, I wanted to hit on before we jump into SharePointy stuff. I actually have a bunch of SharePoint stuff today, which is unusual for me. So look forward to that. Hopefully you're also all out playing good old Pokemon Go. I saw today there's going to be another rash of updates for Pokemon Go, trying to add new features. One of the biggest features, they got to find better ways to monetize it. If you saw the news, the stock jumped, Nintendo stock jumped up like $7 billion because so many people are playing Pokemon Go. Then Nintendo's like, hey, we're not going to make a bunch of money off of that really yet. Maybe not. And they're like, oh, so now the stock dropped $6.5 billion or something like that. So the roller coaster is a little crazy, but I've been working with some small businesses and they're all very interested in advertising through Pokemon Go. The problem is there's no method for it yet today, right? So like the local yogurt shop, they wanted to turn themselves into a Pokestop. I'm like, well, you just can't do it. And they're like, well, can we put out stuff? Well, no, you can only put a lure out for at a Pokestop, and since they're not one, so they can't attract people that way. They can't do incense because that only helps the person, right? So they're left to just running promos like, show us that you're on Team Valor and get a free strawberries or something like that. So hopefully Pokemon Go will find better ways for Nintendo to monetize it because there is demand from the business world, and man, the kids are out there, right? If you've been in a public place lately, you notice the kids are doing this even more than usual. They're like, hey, look, there's a Ratatouille on this guy. And then they're snapping pictures of those, capturing those as well. And there's some inappropriate pictures of that as well, but we won't talk about that because it's a family show. So Pokemon Go has been interesting. Sadly, I'm being accused in the chat room of being a Pokemon Go player, but you all remember I have a Windows phone. So that means I have not played Pokemon Go because it's not available on Windows Phone. So anyway, pretty cool stuff there. Okay, well then let's change gears over to some SharePoint stuff. So one of the things that I've been working on, so as part of Bold Zebras, right? I've started Bold Zebras back up, and we're now doing SharePoint, Office 365, and Azure Consulting, cloud assessments, that type of fun stuff. And so to kind of promote some of that stuff, I've been making a series of installing SharePoint 2016 videos. My plans, I'm going to take all those videos, right? I'm breaking everything down step by step the same way that I did in all the training classes I taught for all those years. And I'm just creating videos that are like, here's step by step how you do this, and then this, and then this, and kind of giving the context and walking through. So instead of the old days when I would just write a blog post, it's like click here, do this, and you didn't get any context and didn't get much of a visual reference. I'm making YouTube videos on how to do all that stuff. And so as I've been fighting through that, just a few notes I thought I would share with you guys today, since, like I said, I normally don't bring SharePoint content. So today you're getting a bunch of SharePoint content. And the first one is, as far as I can tell, I might be the first person to ever try and slipstream an install of SharePoint 2016. So I was trying to roll in the June 2016 update, cumulative update, not because I needed it, just to kind of demonstrate how that would work in the videos. It just doesn't work. You put the files in the folder, right, the same way we've always done. So we extracted them, put the files in the folder, and then you run the installer. SharePoint installs. It gets to the part where it starts applying the updates. It chugs, and it starts kicking out error messages, which are kind of hilarious because they are they're STS-ADM failure messages. So STS-ADM is failing, but it's like the SharePoint Foundation server service blah 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 didn't work. I'm like, SharePoint Foundation's not a thing anymore. Ha ha. No one really cares. But I thought it was amusing that it was having SharePoint Foundation errors when there's no SharePoint Foundation available anymore. So slipstreaming, best I can tell, isn't working with 2016. I'm sure that it's either something I'm doing wrong, or I didn't hold my mouth the right way, or it's just the particular update I tried, and someone smarter than me will solve the problem. But if you guys have done any slipstreaming and had any luck, definitely hit me up and just tell me maybe you solved the problem, figured out why all those errors. And so I've heard some, internal people have had some errors, and other people have told me they have done it. Right, I said no one's done it. A couple people have, but all the people have done it. They said, no, we just got the error messages. We just clicked through them, and then the farm was patched, so it was good. I was like, there ain't no way in Hades that I am building a farm, getting errors during the install process, and keeping on going. I don't care what happens after that. I nuke and pave. So yeah, we'll figure those out. So the next thing I was kind of working on, and this was a lot of what I was fighting with today, actually, and is I was creating a farm with PowerShell. I think Todd's covered with you guys before, right? That pretty much almost all of our PowerShell from 2010 really works to create 2013 farms, and then really works to create 2016 farms. The only real big caveat there is search changed quite a bit, right, between 10 and 13. But 13 and 16, the search PowerShell is actually identical again. So with this time around, it looks like they go from 13 to 16. The only real PowerShell change is when you run the new SP configuration database. And that's because of the min-roll stuff, right? And I know that Todd's done videos on min-roll. He's also done a podcast, or not a podcast, a blog on the min-roll stuff. And right, so there's just a new switch you got to put in there, and it's -local server role, and then there's a handful of values that you can give it, whether it be custom or front end or application or distributed cache or single server farm. One of the things worth noting, though, is if you tab through, there is an option for single server. That one actually doesn't work. It's not in the documentation. I think it was supposed to be, actually removed. I don't know. It just snuck through. So if you do, -local server role and you see single server, you need to skip that one because there's a single server farm, right? All one word. And so the single server farm is the one you want if you're doing a very simple install. And so what single server farm does, it's essentially the same as doing a basic install back in 2013 or 2010, in that it configures that one server to run all the bits, or all the different services, and it also will not allow any other servers to join the farm. So if you're building a single server VM for testing, then that will go ahead and put it in place. but if you're want to do any of the other scenarios, we can kind of talk through some of those. But yeah, so single server. The other thing though is worth noting, right? Because the basic install, aka the kitten killer of past, is no longer a thing, right? A basic install, the nice thing about it was it would put SQL Express down for you, and then it configure SharePoint to use it. But so that no longer is there. But so when you go to build the farm, so you manually install SharePoint, you manually install SQL, then you can use the min role of local or single server farm, and then that way all the bits will run there. So a little weird. If you do mess with that and you want to add servers later, the good news is you're allowed to change the min role. And so there's a blog post out there, right? There's a set server role, which you can run after the fact to change the server's role. So you have options, you have flexibility, but I just wanted to call that out. Also, I wanted to talk about another weird scenario, I guess, for me, right? As I was reading through TechNet, they kind of cover, okay, you got single server farm if you just want to do one box, but if you want to do a true min role, right, you got to do 4 boxes, right? So then you do one as a front end, one as an application server, one as a distributed cache, and one as something I'll forget. And search, duh. Thank you, Lori. Lori Gowan, our executive producer, to the rescue and whispering in my ear. So those are the 4 roles. So 4 server farm, right? You put one on each role, or each role on one server, boom. But what if you had 2 or 3 servers? So this was actually a conversation Lori and I had this morning. I just want to kind of make sure. But essentially, if you've got 2 or 3 servers, you're going to probably just use custom on all 3 or all 2 servers. And then that way you can kind of just manually turn on pieces left and right on each of the servers as you kind of make up your own config, right? So Microsoft never really intended for people to have 4 servers, but as a guy who's built hundreds of server farms for customers over the last, 12 years, I guess. I must be getting old. I can tell you there's a lot of people that have 2 servers and 3 servers because that was all they could get. So if you are one of those people, you can do one of 2 things, right? You can either use custom on all 3, or you could try and do a weird thing like okay, this is my front end, so I'll run the front end mid roll on this one, and then custom on the other 2 as I kind of balance things. So you have some of that flexibility. Or the other thing is there's a switch when you're doing the new SP configuration database, and you can say dash server role optional, and that just says forget this min role stuff. I want to go back to the old school way. So you have different options. I definitely, like I said, there's been lots of coverage over the min role stuff, so I don't want to get into it. But if you haven't learned about it, go do some reading. Todd's got a blog post. Bill Bear's got a blog post. TechNet's pretty good. It's all pretty well covered. So that's the min role stuff. All right, so then next, and then it looks like Lori would also, you can hire her to come do your min role stuff. So, Lori Gowan is available to cover all your needs. I'm really hopeful that I just muted out that cough. Yay, Lori says I did a good job. All right, so the last thing on the min role stuff is if you do have that 4 server farm, you need to make sure that you've got all of those up and that you've got one server with each of the roles before you create any of your service applications. That's a very important step. If you try and provision different service apps, you can get yourself in trouble. All right, that's enough about that. The other one I wanted to talk about real quick here was the user profile service app. So it used to be that like my style of building a farm, right, to try and get no GUIDs, right? That was really the biggest goal, was to build a search or a 2013 farm with as little effort as possible, but end up with no database GUIDs. So in the 2013 and the 2010 days, user profile service, you could create that through Central Admin because they let you fill in the profile database and the sync database and the stores and all those fun databases. You could type in all the names, and then you would be able to avoid any database GUIDs. With 2016, they actually changed that a little. And for whatever reason, if you use Central Admin, they've hard-coded in the sync database having, you guessed it, a big nasty GUID. right? That guy whose job it is to run the world out of GUIDs, he's always at it. So in order to do that, what I ended up having to do was create some PowerShell to create the user profile service app, which wasn't, it's pretty straightforward for the first half, right? Because there's a new SP, user profile service app. But then what you have to do is you need a separate set of PowerShell to create the proxy. And so to do that, you get some little goofy PowerShell, right? Because you need the GUID of the profile service app you just created. So I haven't gotten I've got it done. It's all working in my lab, but I haven't published that. So look for that hopefully in the next couple of weeks. There'll be a video out that has all that new PowerShell. Like I said, it's not complicated. It was just a slight change in having to account for overcoming the database issues. And so in the chat room, somebody's saying, so, based on all that min-roll stuff you're saying, the ideal scenario is to have 5 servers, right? 4 SharePoint servers and a database server. So that, I guess you could say that's the ideal scenario, but in reality, that gives you no redundancy, right? Because you just have one web front end, one search server, one distributed cache server, and one application server. So in reality, the ideal config is 8, right? So that way you got 2 front ends, 2 search, blah, blah, blah. You get it, plus whatever your database needs are. So, you get into 10 real fast. And that's why, I wanted to cover it, because that's what Microsoft sees people doing. But I've just had so many customers over the year that ended up doing 1 and 2, and the chat room's voices, well, is that just their way of pushing people to Office 365? I didn't say it. The chat room did, but it's hard to argue with that logic. All right. So we were talking about, so I've got some new PowerShell coming out that'll help you solve the creating the user profile service app. You guys are probably pretty smart. You could probably figure it out yourself, but I did solve it. And so I think that brings me to my last little topic here. So speaking of the videos, kind of wanted to run an idea that I'm working on past you guys. Love any feedback. So, you can email me, shane.young@boldzebras.com, or hit me up on Twitter @ShanesCows and kind of tell me what you think about this idea. But so I've made this video series, right? And it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be a 6-part series. It's everything from, I have a blank Hyper-V server, to I created 3 VMs on the Hyper-V server, did a DC promo, joined them all to a domain. Now that here's a step-by-step video on how to do, the SQL installs. Here's a step-by-step video on how to do the SharePoint install. Here's a step-by-step video on applying the cumulative update. And then finally, here's a step-by-step video on how to actually install all the service apps, create the farm and how to install the service apps so that you don't end up with any GUIDs in your database names, right? That's a big no-no. So that's what I've built out. I've made this whole series. And so when I release this series, though, what I've been thinking about doing is taking and then making a step-by-step guide, right? Because the videos are great to watch and do and learn, but it's really hard to follow along with a video to actually build your own farm. So what I want to do is make a set of documents that'll, step-by-step install guides with screenshots, and click this. And then I'm also going to add some other premium features, like instead of typing all this PowerShell, here's a PS1 file that you can just run that will do all those steps for you. So I'm going to make these premium features and then make those available as a separate download, and I'm going to charge for those. So what I'd really like to hear is that really going to make all of you really angry? If you're like, hey, I really love watching all these videos for free, that was great, but now if I want to use the stuff, I get, I've got these documents I've got to buy for, X number of dollars, and and maybe there'll be like different packages. So one is just to download the documents, one's the document plus a consultation, and one's the document plus a consultation plus me actually helping you build the farm or something like that. So would love some feedback on my new little idea there. The idea is I'll do all that through my new company, Bold Zebras, so it'll help get the name out there better. It'll be good content. Everything will be in the video, so if you just want the free stuff, it's there. But if you want that premium experience, what people used to pay, thousands of dollars a year to do the training for, or not $1,000 a year, but a couple $1,000s per class to get the training where I walked them through and explained all that and gave them the step-by-step guide they could follow, I'm now going to charge a few dollars for that to kind of recoup all my time costs around making that. So happy to hear your opinions on that if you guys have got them. Yeah. Right. And so, and, the whole question is, why would I charge for those? Right. And I gotta feed my family, right? And, we all like money. We all like paychecks. And, I've spent weeks already making the videos. And so now I'm going to turn around and spend a couple of weeks on making the downloadable content as well. And so trying to do it. All right. So I think that gets us through all of the topics I had for covering today. I'm supposed to do some shameless promotion for Todd. So it looks like October 24th and 25th, he'll be doing SharePoint days in Slovenia. So he'll be doing that in Bled, Slovenia. And it says tell the Slovenia story. I don't know a Slovenia story, so can't tell him one of those. Tell the cruise story. I don't want to tell you any of the cruise stories that I know because I've only been on one cruise with Todd, and none of that should be shared here. And Todd has no idea what sessions he'll be doing at this show yet, but he'll be there. He'll also be doing the Exchange Forum, right, October 27th and 28th over in Stockholm. I think you guys know that song and dance. He's always very excited about that show and looking forward to it, so he'll be there. And then he, because he doesn't know how dates work, he'll be doing Microsoft Ignite September 26th and 30th. So you think that would have been before the other updates. But anyway, Ignite, that's in Atlanta. And for some reason, it says $2,220. I don't know if that's how much he is getting paid not to show up, or if that's probably a discounted price that's available if you sign up here soon. Who knows, right? He makes bad notes. So, and I'm not blaming Lori for any of this. Lori just tries to deal with the mess that Todd creates. I am here just to say that Todd screwed it all up. As for me, I don't have any speaking engagements yet. I'm trying to weasel my way into Ignite, right? I'll call it what it is. I'm trying to weasel my way into Ignite. And then hopefully I'll have these YouTube videos out. It's September 25th, probably about 2 more weeks. So early to almost mid-August, I'll be ready to launch all of that. So, like I said, any feedback on that would be great. All right. That should be it. So I think we'll call that a show. It's exactly 5:30 on the nose. So, boom. So, hey, guys, thanks for hanging out in the chat room. Thanks for watching the show. You get to hear this hopefully in a couple months when Todd finally releases it. But, hey, have a great day.